You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today on our Training Thursday show, what we're going to do is take a little sidestep. We're going to talk about how you can actually recover faster between workouts. And specifically, what I'd like to do is actually share with a lot of people out there right now who are suffering from some type of maybe a carpal tunnel-based issue. They're suffering from some type of repetitive motion injury and many other things as well, just joint pain or inflammation, swelling. So I'm going to tell you about a specific technique that I use in my practice that's actually many thousands of years old, and it's been really handed down from generation to generation, again, like I said, over thousands of years. It works phenomenally well, and I want to go through a little bit about the science of why it works, and then how you can very simply implement it into your own healing-based protocol if you need to, or I'm guaranteeing you that you know someone else in your life right now, maybe it's a parent, a grandparent, or just a friend who's dealing with some type of joint pain or nerve pain or some type of impingement. And what I'd like you to do is share this show with them so that they can help recover as well. So I'm going to get into kind of some of the success stories in just a moment, but I do want to keep this show fairly short as well. And so I'm going to get right into it. How contrast hydrotherapy works is that contrast hydrotherapy basically means using hot water and cold water, or as you'll learn in a minute, buckets of ice or a bucket of ice and then a heating pad. And again, you can use it with the shower as well. So I want to go through all of those things. And why would this possibly work to help you heal your body to a much deeper level? And the reason is this, that cold, whenever you're exposed to cold, think about it, all the blood kind of pulls back into your core, it constricts, and it keeps the heat inside at a deep, deep level so that you actually don't suffer from the effects of cold, right? Hypothermia, any of these specific things. You need to pull that blood in deep to the body. All the veins kind of hide away, and you can kind of see that too, right? And then when you're hot, everything expands. The blood flushes out. It moves to the periphery, out to the surface, out to the skin, where cellular respiration takes place at a skin-based level, a dermis-based level, and perspiration as we start to sweat. We remove some of this heat by actually sweating, which is going to help cool the body down. That's why we sweat specifically. So again, this has been known for thousands of years, and they've just used this part of our physiology, of our anatomy, to, again, the original naturopaths. So the original naturopaths were called natural hygienists. And what they did was they actually used cold baths and heating as well to help heal the bodies. And I like to consider myself more of that natural hygienist, that old school naturopath who just uses state-of-the-art medicine as well, because I love the old school therapies. They've been around for thousands of years for a reason. They work and they continue to work, and when nothing else works, they work, and that's why we have to go back to them. We can't discount them. So, and then let's just say a couple hundred years ago, in Finland, they started using these saunas or just huts. And again, this goes back, Native Americans as well would use these dry huts, and they would go in with this dry heat. And then they would come out, and this is at Finland especially, and again, all over Europe, they would come out of this sauna, and then they would actually lie in the snow, or they would submerge their bodies in ice water or cold rivers. And then what they would get is this flushing effect of the blood being expanded when they're in the heat, and they dunk into that cold water for about a minute or so, and I'll explain the whole therapy in just a moment. And then all the blood pulls back into the core. So it's like you flush out, you bring it in. You flush out, you bring it in. And you can start to see why that would be such a healing property for the body, is that it moves the lymphatic system. It can help speed up the production or movement of white blood cells. And so what I want to do is just talk a little bit about what hot water does and then what cold water does, because again, no one's probably taught you this before, but it's a really interesting concept to look at it. But what hot water does, let's just explain hot water. Heat in general relaxes our muscles. That's why if you do hot yoga or something like that, you're able to stretch deeper in heat rather than in cold, because cold is going to constrict always. Heat also helps reduce fatigue. Heat relieves headaches because of the expansion of the capillaries. It reduces puffiness of the skin of the eyes. It reduces anxiety because it calms our overall nervous system. It reduces congestion in our nasal passages, and it helps remove toxins from the skin, and it does that through sweating. One other thing that it does is it opens our pores, and it helps really cleanse our skin. So if you're dealing with any acne or skin-based issues or even psoriasis, eczema, really nice to get in a sauna and just sweat. Really great. You get that parasympathetic nervous system working, and you get to just heal and sweat. Such an amazing thing. In Boston, people love our infrared sauna. They get a lot of therapy from the far, near, and mid ranges of the infrared sauna. But you can even just get benefits from a regular sauna as well. Now, for cool water or cold water, it's different. Cold water stimulates the immune system. All right. It increases alertness. So it's going to wake you up. That blast of cold water is going to wake you up. It helps prevent colds because of the stimulation of the immune system. It stimulates your own natural antidepressants. So these antidepressant hormones or neurotransmitters get stimulated when you're under that water. Norepinephrine or adrenaline is one of those. It speeds up metabolism. It opens up and clarifies your thinking in your mind. It really gives you that clarity. And it helps tighten the skin. So that's really, really nice. It will stimulate the body, cause goosebumps, and tighten everything back up. And it will, some people correlate it to reduced hair loss. And there's actually a little bit of science behind this because they show people in colder climates during the winter time, what we would call in Ayurvedic medicine, more of the anabolic time or the, I guess that's more of a functional medicine thing. And that would be more anabolic. It allows for better hair growth, less hair loss, which seems to happen more in the hot weather. So a little interesting correlation with that as well. But it's also why I started doing this, like, let's say 7 years ago. And it was actually really bad for me taking these cold showers. And I looked worse and I felt worse like a few minutes after I got out of the shower. And I'm wondering why this could be. Like, why wouldn't this be good for me? It's supposedly good for everyone else in the world. Why not me? And the reason was that you have to understand a lot of people going through really tough adrenal-based issues or burnout of nervous system, you don't want to stimulate the nervous system. Like, so we use things like licorice root and a lot of other potential stimulants, not for everyone, that we're not looking to do that. You can't heal the body by stimulating it. What you need to do is heal the body by allowing it to rest. So then when I said, okay, that makes sense, it took me a little while to figure that one out, because again, this is not taught in medical school. So what I did from there is I started just taking these hot, relaxing showers, just letting the water kind of just pour down and on my head and just kind of relax my whole body. And that was actually a big game changer in terms of reducing inflammation, swelling, calming my entire body. So, if you can kind of see from that example, hot water would be nicer for that ectomorph, that burnt out type, that Vata body type. And then for the Kapha body type or the larger body type, maybe if you a lot of weight gain, those types of things, the Kapha body type, the endomorph, the cold shower or the alternating shower is going to be a little bit more beneficial. And again, if anyone ever tells you this is the best diet in the world, this is the best healing program in the world, the best whatever in the world, you can now tell them, yes, okay, but for whom and whom not? Because now by listening to this show, there is no one for everyone. But today's show, as we get into it now, is not going to be for the whole body. It's actually going to be for parts of the body. So let's get into that now. What I'd like to do is I just want to show you in my practice how I help people with this contrast hydrotherapy for things like plantar fasciitis, shin splints. We work with a lot of marathoners, athletes in general, carpal tunnel syndrome, tennis elbow, Achilles tendonitis, which, I suffered from back in my running days as well. And, the amazing thing is this, if you're let's say a therapist, massage therapist, a personal trainer, a physical therapist, someone who does rolfing, what else is there out there? There's athletes, there's admin people who type a lot during the day. You might end up with a repetitive motion injury. And when you do, how are you supposed to heal when your job requires you to do this specific task day in and day out? Well, there is a way, and I'm going to teach you it right now. So I'm not going to talk about it right now, but you can also use things like natural anti-inflammatories, such as turmeric and boswellia. And there's a lot of great herbs out there. Those are two of the most popular. Bromeline's nice, but boswellia is probably a better one. Turmeric this is the most popular one right now. So those are great. Glucosamine, chondroitin, sure, MSM, like all those things are fantastic. Let's talk about something that costs you almost nothing. All you need to do is literally you need to get a bucket, or you can use your bathtub that's big enough for you to submerge both feet or your forearms if you have carpal tunnel, and then you just need a heating pad to be able to then contrast that. So I like to use a heating pad, and then I like to just just use a bucket of ice. Super simple, very inexpensive. I'll make sure that I link up some type of heating pad or an infrared heating pad. Maybe I can find that. That would be great for you to link up in the show notes today. So just simply go to today's show notes page, whichever podcast we're on today. Let me see if I can just find this. It's 384, StephenCabral.com/384. And again, I'm always doing this blind, no notes, so I have to look up which episode it is. So let's get right into how you do this. Again, it's super simple. What you want to do is this. You're going to want to use your bathtub, although I usually do recommend just a big bucket. And the reason why I recommend a big bucket is because for a bathtub, you need more ice and you need more water because you have to submerge, you have to fill it up high enough to be able to submerge, let's just say your forearms, okay? So I've worked with a lot of people with finger joint-based issues because they're practitioners. And it's funny, actually, I just spoke with a massage therapist the other day, and I asked him, and I hadn't seen him for a while, and they said, how are your thumbs doing? I remember you complaining about this a while ago about you really having to take days off from your practice because, your thumbs really bothering you. If you know massage therapists, they always use their thumbs to kind of knead out the muscles, the adhesions, the knots, all those things. And he said, completely better. And I said, that's fantastic. What did you end up finding was the thing? And he said, the contrast hydrotherapy. He didn't use those words because not too many people use those words. He just said the hot and cold soaks. That was it. And so what he did was he put his forearms and his thumbs, and great for carpal tunnel. I've used this for hairstylists as well. You put them right in a bucket, basically, of cold water. So why don't I take you through it right now? So what I'd like you to do is this. I want you to get your heating pad. I want you to turn it on, get it hot, okay? So what you're going to do first is you're going to do 2 minutes of hot. I always say as strong as heat as you can handle, but of course we don't want you to burn yourself. There's no need to, be a hero and take this to the nth degree. Simply turn on a heating pad and you can do one side, you can do both sides, just depends on the heating pads that you have. All right, so what you want to do is you want to heat up that area, whatever the area is that you feel the pain. If it's your shins, wrap it around your shins. If it is your feet, wrap it around your feet. However you want to do it. Or if you don't have a heating pad like the ones that wrap around, you can actually just get one of those things. And again, I'm not a big fan of microwaving, but probably the best thing for your microwave is you could just microwave this heating pad if you wanted to. I think it's the one with like the beads inside, and you can use that. Again, I prefer the more of the wraparound ones, but whatever you have is what you should use. So again, don't microwave your food. You can microwave your heating pad. That's about it. And then after 2 minutes of heating that area up, so the blood's being pulled out to the surface, you're going to immediately take the heating pad off. Please do that. Make sure nothing electrical is around your bathtub or anything water-based. And then you're going to just take your hands and your forearms right up to your elbows, and you're going to submerge them in a bucket full of ice. And you're going to use about a half a bag to one full bag of ice, enough to get that water very, very cold. So it'll take like 5 minutes to let that get cold, and enough water for you to be able to submerge up to your elbows in that water. You're going to do that for 1 minute. So basically, I just say 2 minutes of heat, 1 minute of cold. I don't need to take this through each time, right? So you're going to do this about 5 times. So 2 minutes of the heat, 1 minute of cold. You do that for about 5 rounds. You can do a few more rounds if you'd like, but that is about 15 minutes of actual hot and cold soaks. That's pretty much all you need. What I'd like you to do is just make sure you end on the cold. I like to end with the blood being pulled deeper into the core. That's better for the healing process. So if you want to talk about moving the lymph, of pulling the blood deeper into where your body needs it, that is the best way to do it. So again, this is very, very simple to do. What do you need? You need a bucket that you can buy at any hardware store. Just buy one of those big ones. I think they're probably like 2.5 gallon or 3 gallon or so. They might be larger, but again, just test it out. Make sure you can get your forearms in there. Or again, here's another even easier way. Costs $0. Fill up your kitchen sink or fill up your bathroom sink with ice and cold water. That's it. Very, very simple. Again, I can't believe I forgot that. I usually use this as a recommendation because it's always there. You don't need to bring the bucket in, whatever it might be. Take that bag of ice out of your freezer. You can never use too much ice. Throw that in there with some water. Make sure you're submerged, and then take it out. Dry your forearms off quickly. Make sure there's no real water on it. Not a huge deal, but make sure there's no water. And then put that heating pad on, whatever type of heating pad you have. 2 minutes, back to the ice for 1 minute. I'm telling you, you do that 5 times. Now, you have to be consistent about it. Try to do that once to twice per day, and just keep going with it for a week, maybe more, until you start to feel that inflammation gradually reduce and reduce and reduce. So this, again, it's tried and true. All of these things I've used myself at some point or another. I don't have any need to use these anymore. And I'm hoping that you don't, and your friends don't, your family don't, your coworkers don't very shortly too after they get themselves healthy. So yeah, I've had lots of injuries in the past. I haven't had any injuries, knock on whatever you want to say, for many, many years. And what I try to do is I just learn from all of the mistakes that I've made in the past. That goes for nutrition, for exercise, for health, for whatever it might be. And I make sure that I just try not to repeat those. So, I'm just more careful about everything that I do right now, but I still do all of the things that I love to do. And none of that is ever going to stop me. And if anything were to come up, now I know all of these different healing practices that I'm trying now to pass on to you, and you'll pass on to those that you care about as well. So once again, thank you for tuning into another Cabral Concept. Hopefully this was a stimulating exercise that got you to think a little differently about how you can use all of these different types of natural treatments to help heal your own body. Take care, everyone. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.